Hey everybody, this is RayRob.
I'm Ray.
I'm Rob, and this is our before and after review of the Lego Batman movie.
All right, so me and Rob both big fans of the Lego movie.
Huge.
We both kind of found it by accident.
Yeah, I
we
kinda
just stumbled upon it
yeah.
and loved it. If you haven't seen it, you're really late to the party. You need to do it. But I will say, I remember after the Lego movie first came out, they announced that they were going to be doing 2 sequels. And after I watched the Lego movie, I was like, don't do a sequel to this. It would be terrible. There's no way it would work.
Yeah, the ending of that movie was really great. It was great as a standalone movie.
Yeah.
And I think I was even worried even more when they announced they were doing the Lego Batman movie.
Yeah.
Because it's like they're taking that one aspect of the movie that
was fun.
Yeah, that was fun and everybody loved, and they're going to make an entire movie based on that. I think they've tried that time and time again, and it never works. But
we've seen the trailers now, 4 of them, I think.
Yeah, a lot of trailers for this movie, and they all look great.
They look real funny. They're expanding the cast, so it's not going to just be all on Batman's shoulders.
Yeah.
And they actually have a fun take on the Batman character, I think, with the whole family aspect, too. I think it looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I think that, that's one thing they need for this movie to work, is they have to have that story hook. Yeah. The Lego movie, that's really what worked with it. It was funny, it was engaging, but there was a really great underlying message to that movie. And, I hope that they do that same thing with the Batman movie.
Me too. And the one other fear, we kind of mentioned this, the Lego movie starts off really jumpy, and it should, because it's kind of being told through a 10-year-old's point of view. I kind of feel that same way about this Batman trailer, and it's really jumpy and it's fast-paced, and that almost won't work if it's not told the same way. So we'll have to see. But
yeah, we'll see how if they're just kind of riffing off the same pattern of jokes or not. But hey, I'm definitely excited to give this movie a go.
Well, we're gonna go to the movie theater and see it, and we'll let you know when we're done.
Now,
let's get out of here. All right, we are back from the theater. I had a blast.
It was a lot of fun.
It was a great movie. Rob, let's just get right into this. Start us off.
Well, to get you guys caught up, so it all centers around Batman, obviously. And after he accidentally adopts an orphan and jails all of his villains, he has to come to grips with the fact that he has some relationship issues.
Sure, we all
do. He doesn't, connect to people very well, and, he kind of has to deal with that fact.
Yeah, and that's kind of the driving force of the movie.
Yeah, that loneliness.
Yeah.
But the theme of the movie really seems to be family.
Yeah, bringing it all together for him, which is kind of a twist on the character we haven't really seen in Batman.
Yeah, they always talk about, his family and what happened to his family and all of that, but there was some interesting depths that they took the character to in this movie that you wouldn't expect them to.
For a cartoon movie.
Yeah, for a cartoon movie, for sure.
But then speaking of that character, Rob, we had talked about, before we saw this movie, we were interested how they're going to take a part of the Lego movie, Batman, and stretch that into an entire movie. How did you think it worked? Because I liked it.
Oh, yeah, no, it worked really well. It was very successful. Maybe more successful than most other times I've ever seen them try to do that type of thing.
Yeah, this might be the best example. And they did a good job of populating this movie with new characters that didn't make Batman have to hold it all up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially with the amount of characters that were in the Lego movie, for them to still be able to even expand that even further and bring new characters into the Lego Batman movie. Yeah, I thought that worked really well.
Robin's a home run. He was, Michael Cera did a great job.
Yeah.
And they did, I thought from the opening scene with they did kind of their Deadpool meta intro. Yeah. It was awesome. It was fun and set the tone right away.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they did a really good job of keeping the style that they set up with the Lego movie. Now, it's an interesting thing because the guys that wrote and directed the original one, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, they did neither of those things for this movie. No. They just produced it.
Yeah, they just produced
it. They had set up a strong enough style that the producers wanted that the new director was able to come in and really nail that, Chris McKay.
Yeah, and it seems like that's kind of be the Lego movies as they move forward. That's kind of their thing. There's that fast-paced glitchiness almost.
Yeah.
And they kind of toned it down in this movie, which I think a little bit. It's still there, and it still feels like the Lego movies I guess are going to feel now. So, but so even with that little bit of a toning down, I just felt it was successful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Which is interesting considering that Chris Miller came from Robot Chicken, which I mean that is their bread and butter,
Yeah.
is that glitchy ADD type of humor.
Right.
So for him to actually do it, to pull pull back from the Lego Movie, I thought was a very interesting development.
And another thing that I think Chris McKay was really successful at, definitely pulled off, was the pacing of this movie. There's no lulls throughout the hour and 44 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And it even beyond that, you know, with that kinetic type of humor and energy, by halfway, a lot of times you can start feeling tired. And you're just like, when is this movie going to be over? But I didn't get that at all. It really kept me engaged.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that, too, is the voice talent that he's working with here in this movie.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. There's lots of good guys, and they don't care how big their roles are. They just want to be a part of this movie, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you got Eddie Izzard showing up as Voldemort. You got Conan
Which
O'Brien.
is funny because Ralph Fiennes is in the movie and he doesn't play Voldemort.
Yeah, that's it. I thought that would be a
Spoiler.
no-brainer, but it's kind of weird. But hey, you know, I'll take Eddie Izzard any way I can get him, so it's great. Like I said, Conan O'Brien as the Riddler.
2 lines.
Jenny Slate as Harley Quinn.
5 lines.
You go on, and there's a lot of really amazing people in this movie.
Yeah, and it just keeps it fresh and interesting throughout the movie.
Yeah, I mean, like you said earlier, Michael Cera knocked it out of the park as
Yeah,
Robin.
he was big time. Will Arnett was great.
Yeah, well, of course, and you expected that, you know, from his performance in the Lego Movie. You knew that he was gonna, you know, bring it. He was definitely gonna bring it, and then Rosario Dawson, and you know, just
and Billy Dee bringing back Two-Face from the 1989 Batman movie.
Yeah, that was.
I don't know if he said a line in this movie that was audible.
But I mean, he played Harvey Dent, you know, in that movie and in the Lego Batman movie. So give it up for Billy Dee on that.
Thank you, Billy. And another thing that I think helps with just not getting you that fatigue is there was Easter eggs galore throughout the movie that were just all fun.
Yeah. You know, you watch the background; they're everywhere. You know, the Shrek department store is in there. There's a truck in there with the name Falcone on it. Every era of Batman, there was an Easter egg. In this movie,
every Batman movie made an appearance in this movie.
Yeah. Even back to the old serials from the black and white days.
And they had villains that populated each and every movie that were in this movie, kind of being their old villain selves.
Yeah.
In some cases, too. So that was just really fun. And there was even a music number at the beginning, just to throw that extra little spice in there. There's a big old 2-minute music number as Batman's kicking butt. Yeah. That was really fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not gonna say Will Arnett's singing voice is gonna win any awards, but it works.
Well, no, but you know, I think what's the really interesting thing about it is how they've connected music to the Batman character.
Yeah.
You know, so like in the Lego Movie, he records his own music and he's played it in the car for them, and it's kind of carried over into this as well. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's a very interesting aspect of the character because he's such an angry guy.
Alfred comments on it.
Yeah, he's an angry guy, and all he's doing is listening to angry music. Yeah. So it's really fun.
Yeah, it was One thing that was unique here, Rob, is the spoiler alert. The love story of this movie is really between Joker and Batman.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's a hate story.
I mean, it's not with Barbara Gordon and Batman. They tease that a little bit.
Yeah, very little.
But it's actually between Joker and Batman, which is really fun and unique and interesting.
Yeah, I mean the banishment of Joker into the
Phantom
Zone is kind of, you know, in a way that shunning of him, but you know, in a way
he was trying to prove to Batman how much he was going to miss him.
Right, exactly. It was, you know, it's as you I think told me right after we watched it, that it's actually a storyline in a way that could have worked in a more serious version of this story.
The whole thing could have. You know, like we've said at the beginning, this is a family story for Batman. It's finding a new family, which he's been scared to have. This theme you could have put in a more serious, not as serious as Zack Snyder tries to make everything maybe, but a more serious Batman movie, and it would have worked.
Yeah. Well, it really is true. If you watch all of the Batman movies, I mean, the villains are kind of what make his stories. You know, a lot of people say they're drawn to the Batman franchise because of his villains. Yeah. But it's not. So it's an interesting way to kind of analyze that, is that they make Batman who he is.
Right.
So
and when he didn't have them, he didn't have anything.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's a kind of an interesting way to kind of turn it into a love story-esque type twist.
Right. And so, you know, in the movie, Joker has the kind of the mindset that they kind of leave you with at the end of The Dark Knight, that they're two forces going at each other that will go go after each other for eternity. They're arch rivals. But Batman in this movie's like, no, you're not really my arch rival. So
yeah.
And so that kind of spun the whole thing of Joker trying to win Batman back to being his arch rival.
Right.
Which was cute.
Yeah, it's kind of cute. And in a way, it really makes him that chief supporting character is the Joker, you know? So.
And the other thing I thought was funny is that this was a funny Batman movie. Like, so many times people think you have to do the Batman character so dark and so grounded and so tough. This was a funny Batman movie that works, you know, it pokes fun at the character a little bit, like fourth dimensionally maybe, I don't know, but it's funny and it works.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's a lot of meta stuff in this, you know, as far as poking fun. It's very self-referential, you know, as we've talked about.
He's named himself being 78 or 90 years old twice, which obviously...
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, referencing every era, you know, the whole notion that it has to be serious, you know, but I mean that's kind of a trend in comic book movies right now anyway. So, you know, I think it's an interesting kind of breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
A little bit. It's fun.
Like Deadpool was in that way, but
yeah, exactly. Even though I mean there's still obviously serious aspects to this, and this is, you know, in the end this is a family movie. You know, that's the point. This is still a family movie, but. You know, you take that dark subject matter, you find a way to intertwine that silliness into it that still works, and you got gold.
Yep, and I think they did.
Yeah.
And to be fair, we're doing a movie review here, so we do have to talk about the negative or the negatives.
Sure. It's not perfect.
Yeah. And we're on the same page here for the most part.
Absolutely. You know, it's a very straightforward storyline. You know, you walk in, you watch the first act. You know where Batman's going to end up from point A to point B. They're not trying to hide it from you.
No, it's a superhero movie, so you know he's going to win.
Absolutely. But, you know, I've seen much more complex storylines with absolutely paper-thin characters.
And they didn't jip us on the characters here.
No.
So
they never fell into cliche.
Yeah. And, you know, they're not trying to be overly complicated. They're just trying to give you a comedy movie that you're going to enjoy. Yeah. They're going to give you round characters in the process, and they just want you to have fun.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
it's working
it
for them.
Yeah. Let's rate it. We're going to rate it as either see it or forget it. Mm-hmm. You all lost your chance to see it at midnight already, so those are your choices. Rob, what should they do?
See it.
See it.
I think it's pretty cut and dry. We saw it. You should see it. You know, to put it simply, it may not have been lightning in a bottle, but they were able to capture the magic of the first one.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, good characters, good story. Don't know what you're waiting for.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. Parents and kids can see this movie together, laugh together, have time well spent, and just enjoy the whole process. And you know what? The old lonely guy, you can go see this movie too. Just don't sit next to little kids when you do it.
Don't be a creeper.
And then you know what? You're probably going to end up buying this movie on 6 months anyway, so just go watch it now.
I know I will. All right, everybody. Let us know what you think. Should people see it or forget it? Put it in the comment section below. Let us know what you think. Also, hit the like and subscribe button. We want to see your faces on our next video. Until next time, this is RayRob.
I'm Ray.
I'm Rob. And everything is awesome.